My name is Evelyn Harper, and at 68 years old, I never imagined I'd be writing this. For decades, I was the rock of my family, the one who patched up scraped knees, cooked Sunday roasts for 12, and scrimped on my own dreams to fund everyone else's. My husband, Tom, passed away 15 years ago from a sudden heart attack, leaving me with our daughter Sophie, who was just 18 at the time. I raised her alone, working double shifts as a nurse while putting her through college, buying her first car, and even co-signing her student loans. Sophie was my world, my only child, the girl I'd rocked to sleep singing lullabies about strong women who could conquer anything. Little did I know that the conqueror would one day be me, fighting not for her dreams, but for my own survival. It started subtly, as these things often do. Sophie graduated with a degree in marketing, but jobs were scarce in our small town of Willow Creek. "Mom, just until I get on my feet," she promised, her blue eyes wide with that earnest look she perfected since childhood. I believed her. I always did. The first loan was for rent, $600 a month for a cozy one-bedroom downtown. Then came the utilities, the groceries, the emergency car repair that turned out to be a new paint job. Before I knew it, 3 years had passed, and Sophie was 25, engaged to her boyfriend of 2 years, Jake. He was charming, with a salesman's smile and a habit of calling me Mom too soon. They moved in together, and suddenly my monthly help ballooned to $1,200. Rent, food, date nights, even contributions to a honeymoon fund they started on a whim. I didn't mind at first. Seeing Sophie happy, building a life made the sacrifices worthwhile. I'd skip my annual checkups to cover her phone bill, eat ramen for a week to stock their fridge with organic kale and artisanal cheeses. Tom had left me a modest inheritance, a $150,000 nest egg from his life insurance and our savings, and I dipped into it freely. Family first, I'd tell myself, echoing the mantra Tom lived by. But deep down, a quiet voice whispered that I was becoming invisible. Sophie's calls were always laced with urgency. "Mom, can you wire $300? Jake's boss delayed payroll," or "forgot to mention the electric bill is due tomorrow." Gratitude, rare, a simple thanks here, a hug during holidays there, but love, that felt conditional, measured in dollars transferred. The breaking point came on a crisp autumn morning in September 2024. I'd been up since 5 a.m., baking Sophie's favorite lemon scones for what I assumed was a casual brunch. For weeks, I'd been planning their wedding, nothing extravagant but heartfelt. I'd sewn her veil myself, stitching lace from my own wedding dress into delicate patterns that caught the light like stars. I'd budgeted $500 for a mother-of-the-bride dress in soft lavender, imagining us arm in arm in photos, beaming with pride. Sophie had even asked for my input on the venue, a quaint garden overlooking the river, and I'd offered $2,000 toward the deposit scraped from my pension checks. "You're the best, Mom," she'd texted, with a heart emoji that felt like a lifeline. Phone rang at 10:15. Sophie's voice was bubbly, almost too bright. "Mom, guess what? Jake and we did it. We're married." My heart soared, then plummeted. "Married already? When? Where was the ceremony?" Laughter tinkled on the other end, light and evasive. "Oh, it was super spontaneous. Yesterday at the courthouse. Just us, Jake's best man, and a couple of friends. Intimate, you know, we didn't want the fuss." Intimate. The word landed like a slap. "But I planned the garden, the veil." "Your dress fittings." Silence, then a sigh. "Mom, it was last-minute magic. We posted pics on Instagram. Check them out." I hung up, hands trembling, and pulled up her feed. There they were, Sophie in a flowing white gown I'd helped finance with a $400 clothing allowance last month, Jake in a sharp tux surrounded by champagne flutes and laughter. his parents beaming, his sister toasting. A dozen close friends from his work circle, all grinning under fairy lights at a rooftop bar I'd never heard of. But me, nowhere. No tag, no mention, not even a shadowed figure in the background. Surprise elopement, only the VIPs made the cut. The caption read with winking emojis, VIPs, special people. I scrolled through comments, heart emojis from strangers, congratulations from his family. My scones sat cooling on the counter, untouched, as nausea rose in my throat. For hours, I sat in my empty kitchen, the house Tom and I had bought 40 years ago echoing with silence. Photos lined the walls, Sophie's first steps, her high school graduation, Tom lifting her on his shoulders at the county fair. I'd given everything $18,000 in rent over 3 years, $600 x 36 months, $4,800 in groceries, $1,200 x 4. But wait, no, she'd exaggerated needs, so closer to $400 monthly, totaling $14,400. Gifts, $2,500 for birthdays, Christmases, anniversaries. The car down payment, $5,000. Wedding contributions I'd fronted unknowingly, $2,800 for the dress, rings, and misc. Utilities, emergencies, Jake's business startup loans, another $3,200. It tallied over $46,700. $6,700 from my widow's pension, Tom's legacy, the equity in this house I'd refused to sell because it held our memories. And for what? To be erased from the day that should have crowned it all. Sophie called back that evening, her tone shifting to concern. Mom, you okay? We should have told you sooner, but it was so romantic. I swallowed the lump in my throat. It looks beautiful, soft, I'm happy for you. Lies to keep the peace. But inside something cracked, a fissure in the dam I'd built around my heart. That night I lay awake, replaying every concession, the vacations I skipped, the art classes I abandoned, the friends who drifted because I was always on call for her crises. Tom's voice echoed in my mind, Evelyn, love them, but don't lose yourself. Too late. A week later, the inevitable call came. Sophie's voice was syrupy, laced with that practiced vulnerability. Mom, hi, so the landlord's on our case again, rent's due and Jake's commission check bounced. Can you spot us $1,200 just this once, as if the onces hadn't stacked into a mountain. I gripped the phone, staring at the faded photo of us on the fridge, her at 10, gap-toothed and giggling. Sophie, I said, my voice steady as steel for the first time in years, didn't I mention last time that I only help special people now? The line went dead silent, save for her sharp intake of breath. Mom, what does that mean? I could picture her face, confusion masking calculation. It means exactly what you told me about your wedding. Only VIPs get the golden ticket. She stammered, words tumbling like scattered beads. That was a joke. You know we love you, your family. Love, the word twisted like a knife. Family shows up, Sophie. Family invites you to the table, not leaves you scrolling through highlights like a ghost. Tears welled in her eyes. I knew without seeing that dramatic quiver she wielded like a weapon. Please, Mom, we're married now. We need stability. Stability, built on my crumbling foundation. Good night, Sophie, I whispered and hung up. The silence that followed was thunderous, liberating. For the first time, I wasn't the one begging for scraps of affection. Sleep evaded me that night, but not from sorrow, from fury, a white-hot blaze I'd long suppressed. I rose at dawn, brew a pot of strong coffee, and pulled out my ledger, the one I'd started years ago to track loans that were never repaid. Rent, $21,600. Wait, recalculating. $600 month x 36 equals $21,600. Groceries and bills, $12,000, $333 month average. Gifts and holidays, $4,200. Car and repairs, $7,500. Wedding prep, $3,000. Jake's Ventures, $4,000. Miscellaneous emergencies, her spa days, his golf clubs, $2,400. Grand total, $54,700. $50, $4,700. Stolen not at gunpoint, but with hugs and I love yous. From the $120,000 I'd inherited, plus my $1,800 monthly pension, now have to cover basics. I'd eaten tuna from cans while they dined on steak, sacrificed my hip replacement for their cruise deposit. Enough. The phone buzzed incessantly. Sophie, Jake, Sophie again. Texts, Mom, this isn't funny, answer us. We need to talk. I deleted them, heart pounding with a mix of terror and triumph. At noon, I drove to the bank, the same branch where teller Mrs. Patel had watched my balances dwindle, her sympathetic smiles my only witness. Mrs. Harper, she greeted, eyes widening as I explained. Cancel all automatic transfers to Sophie and Jake's account and block any joint access. She nodded, fingers flying over keys. Are you sure? They've been regular. More regular than my meals, I quipped, surprising myself with the bitterness. As the confirmations printed, my phone vibrated, Sophie's name flashing like a siren. I powered it off, stepping into sunlight that felt warmer, unburdened. That afternoon, I wandered Willow Creek's main street, untethered for the first time in years. No errands for them, just me. I lingered in the bookstore, fingers tracing spines of novels I'd eyed but never bought. The Art of Losing Yourself, one title mocked. I purchased it, plus paints for the watercolor sets gathering dust in my attic. At the cafe, I sipped chamomile without glancing at prices, chatting with the barista about her tattoo, a phoenix rising. Rebirth, she said, from ashes. I nodded, tasting possibility. But peace is fleeting when predators scent blood. Dusk fell as I returned home, only to find two cars in my driveway, Sophie's red sedan and Jake's truck. Lights blazed inside my house. Panic surged, they had keys. I'd given them duplicates for emergencies, trusting blood and vows. My hands shook as I eased the door open, the creak announcing me like a verdict. The living room was a tableau of invasion. Sophie paced, phone to ear, her wedding ring glinting mockingly. Jake lounged on my sofa, the one I'd reupholstered with $800 from my savings for their visits. And there, rifling through my desk drawers, was a man in a crisp suit, mid-40s, with a briefcase and a predatory gleam. My desk, Tom's old oak, holding bank statements, my will, photos yellowed with time. What in God's name is this? My voice cut the air, sharper than I'd intended. Three heads snapped up, Sophie's eyes wide with feigned innocence, Jake narrowed in irritation, the strangers appraising. Mom, thank God, Sophie rushed forward, arms outstretched for a hug I sidestepped. We were worried sick. Meet Mr. Harlan, our family attorney. He's here to help. Help, I echoed, crossing to the desk, snatching statements from Harlan's manicured hands. By pawing through my private papers without permission, get out, all of you. Jake rose, towering but hesitant. Mom, come on. We went to the bank today. They said you froze everything. No transfers, no access. What the hell? Mr. Harlan cleared his throat, extending a card like a shield. Mrs. Harper, I'm Elias Harlan, specializing in elder law. Your children are concerned about your recent instability. Sudden financial changes, ignoring calls, it's concerning. Instability, the word ignited me. Concerned, like how you were concerned enough to elope without me, to post photos of your VIP party while I sat here with scones going stale. Sophie's face crumpled artfully. Mom, that was a mistake. Jake was stressed from work. But this, cutting us off, it's not you. You're always so generous. Generous, I repeated, voice rising. $54,000 generous. Rent I paid while living on saltines. Gifts you pawned for upgrades. And now, because I've said no, I'm unstable. Harlan interjected smoothly. Mrs. Harper, emotional distress can mimic cognitive decline. Your son and daughter-in-law have noted erratic behavior, isolation, paranoia. We've prepared a temporary power of attorney. It'd let them manage things until you're steadier. Power of attorney, the phrase chilled me. They'd sign away my life, my home, my choices for stability. Jake's stability funded by my widowhood. Out, I commanded, pointing to the door. Now, or I call the police for trespassing. Sophie clutched my arm, tears streaming. Mom, please, we need you. The rent's 2 months behind. Jake's job is shaky. You can't abandon us. Abandon, laughter bubbled, harsh and foreign. Who's abandoning whom? I raised you, Sophie, alone. After Dad died, I worked nights so you could dance lessons and prom dresses. Now, at 68, with arthritis in my hands and a pension that barely covers meds, you waltz in with a lawyer to declare me senile. Jake stepped closer, voice low. Look, we get you're hurt about the wedding, but this is bigger. We have bills, car payments you co-signed, credit cards in your name. You walk away, it tanks your credit too. My credit, as if that were the chain binding us. Then sell the SUV I bought or get a second job like I did for 30 years. Harlan packed his briefcase unfazed. Mrs. Harper, this isn't over. If we must, we'll petition for guardianship, for your protection. Protection from them, irony twisted like barbed wire. They filed out, Sophie casting a wounded glance, Jake muttering curses. As the door clicked shut, I collapsed against it, sobs racking my frame. Not for loss, for awakening. The illusion shattered. Sophie wasn't my little girl anymore. She was a woman who'd weaponized my love. That night, adrenaline coursed like fire. I paced the house, Tom's ghost in every corner, his armchair empty, his pipe rack dusty. What would you do, Tom? I whispered to shadows. By midnight, resolve hardened. If war was declared, I'd arm myself. Dawn brought action. First call to Lydia Grant, an attorney I'd met through nursing colleagues. Unlike Harlan's sleaze, Lydia specialized in elder rights, her office a sanctuary of ferns and fierce intellect. Evelyn, she said after I spilled the tale, tears staining my tea, this is textbook financial elder abuse. Breaking in, coursing POA, it's criminal. We'll document everything, transfers, gifts, the wedding snub. Change your will, locks, add cameras, and sue for harassment if they push. Her words were balm and blade. Balm, validation, blade, the depth of betrayal. We spent hours pouring records, receipts I'd saved just in case, emails pleading for funds, social media screenshots of their lavish posts atop my dime. Total, $54,700 confirmed plus emotional toll unquantifiable. With this, Lydia said, whistling, you could travel Europe, renovate this house. Instead, you bankrolled in grates. Locks changed by noon, hardware store owner Mr. Ruiz, who'd sold me countless quick fixes for their Lex, now fitting deadbolts with quiet respect. About time, Evelyn, you've been a saint. Cameras next, a full system from local tech whiz Ben, $1,500 well spent for peace. As he wired feeds to my phone, it buzzed, unknown number. Sophie's voice pleading, "Mom, don't hang up. We miss you. Let's do a belated wedding dinner, your famous roast." Manipulation transparent as glass. How much, Sophie? What's the emergency this time? Hesitation. $1,200, but it's not just that. We love you. Love. Love doesn't exclude. Love doesn't sue. Click. Guilt gnawed, but resolve held. That evening, I dusted off my watercolors, strokes tentative at first, blues for sorrow, reds for rage, then fluid, a river bending but unbroken. Sleep came deep, dreamless. The backlash escalated swiftly. Days blurred into a siege. Voicemails from Jake, "This is bullshit, Evelyn." Texts from Sophie, "You're breaking my heart." Drive-bys captured on cam, their car idling, silhouettes scheming. Lydia filed for a restraining order, citing invasion and threats. "Document every pass," she urged. I did. Log meticulous. Oct 5, 3:17 p.m., 12 minutes parked. Oct 7, 7:42 a.m., slow cruise. A week in, the knock came polite, official. Through peephole, a woman in slacks, badge gleaming. "Mrs. Harper, Ms. Carla Ruiz from Adult Protective Services." Wellness check. My stomach knotted. They'd weaponized the state. I let her in, composure a fragile mask. Living room tidy, teas poured. Reports of sudden isolation, financial impulsivity, paranoia via cameras, she noted, clipboard poised. Sophie's script, verbatim, Lydia had warned. "Ms. Ruiz," I said evenly, "call my attorney now." Lydia arrived in 15, storming like a gale. "Carla, this check smells of prompted abuse, Evelyn's underrepresentation, harassment." She slapped files down, abuse logs, financial trails, wedding exclusion affidavits. Ruiz scanned, discomfort etching her brow. "Mrs. Harper, why the cutoff?" "Because love isn't a ledger," I replied. "I gave $54,700, raised her alone, but they eloped sans invite, then sued for control. That's not concern, it's greed." Questions probed, finances immaculate per statements, health, vitamins only, recent checkup stellar, social ties, neighbors popping by. "Do you feel coerced?" "No, liberated." Ruiz closed her pad. "No red flags, case closed." As she left, Lydia gripped my shoulder. "They're desperate. Next, lawsuit." Desperation birthed monstrosity. 2 weeks later, summons arrived, petition for guardianship, alleging diminished capacity. Witnesses, Sophie, Jake, a concerned neighbor, gossipy Mrs. Ellis, who'd eyed my fancy friends, and Dr. Ellis, no relation, claiming I'd refused care. Fabrications piled, unpaid meds, hoarded pills, my erratic bank moves as mania. Rage fueled fury, but fear lurked. Guardianship, they'd liquidate my home, manage my pension into oblivion. I confronted Mrs. Ellis over tea. Her fence-line chats turned toxic. "Sophie mentioned worries," she admitted sheepishly. "Said you were changing, manipulated again." Dr. Ellis, a clinic visit revealed Jake's consult, vague queries twisted into testimony. Lydia rallied troops. Dr. Amelia Voss, geriatric psychiatrist, evaluated me over tea and puzzles. Evelyn scores pristine, sharper than most 50-somethings. This suit, exploitation classic, affidavit gold. Support bloomed unexpected. Neighbor Clara, widow next door, silver-haired spitfire, dropped pie, stayed for story time. "My boy's the same," she confessed. "Cut him off at 30, hurt like hell but healed us." Her garden club, 5 women, survivors all convened emergencies, potlucks plotting defenses, testimonies prepped. "We'll stand," vowed Rosa, ex-teacher. "Seen too many like you broken." Guilt ebbed in their circle, stories mirrored mine. Sons guilting loans, daughters borrowing homes. "Love's not ledger," Clara echoed. "Yours was transaction." laughter amid tears. We should have formed a union, mothers against entitlement. Routine rebuilt me. Mornings, yoga on porch, sun saluting scars. Afternoons, paints alive, canvases blooming, poppies fierce and free. Evenings, Clara's porch swings, stars confiding secrets. Phone, silence to knowns only. Sophie's ploys from anonymous flowers returned to Jake's bar doorstep plea. Just talk, Mom, bounced off shields. The trial loomed November 15, courthouse a coliseum. I dressed sharp, emerald sheath, pearls Tom's gift, mirror reflecting warrior, not widow. Lydia coached, truth's your sword, they're bluffing. Hallway clash, Sophie ethereal in pastels, Jake suited stiffly. Their counsel, Mr. Vance, silver fox, venom tongues smiled like sharks. Opening, Your Honor, Evelyn Harper's unraveling, cuts family lifeline, barricades home, heeds manipulators, guardianship saves her. Witnesses paraded, Sophie tears Oscar bound, Mom's always been my rock, now paranoid cold we fear for her, cross, last non-money call date, stutter, wedding invite, intimate, Vance spun exclusion as her stress trigger. Jake, generous soul but slipping, exact gifts, lots, break-in justification, concern. Mrs. Ellis, odd visitors, yells, details, well, hearsay. Dr. Ellis, refusal signals decline. Lydia countered with Voss's report, irrefutable acumen. Our salvo, Voss unflinching, peak cognition, abuse victim not perpetrator. Ben Tech, cameras rational post-intrusion. Clara's club, chorus of clarity, vibrant, engaged, empowered. My stand, heart thundering, voice steel. I gave $54,700, not loans, gifts from love. Raised Sophie solo post Tom's death, shifts, sacrifices, wedding, erased me, now sue for senility to reclaim wallet. Crossprobe, regret, only delay. Friends manipulate, they affirm unlike blood. Closings, Vance's plea for family mercy. Lydia's thunder, not decline, awakening. Plaintiffs seek control, not care, evidence, greed's residue. Deliberation, eternity in minutes. Judge Harlan, no kin, stern, spectacled, returned. Petition denied. Mrs. Harper, competent, decisions sound. Countersuit advised for abuse. Gavel fell, victory roared silent. Outside, Sophie glared daggers, Jake stormed. No words, just finality. Clara's hug, you slayed Eve. Celebration, club feast, roasts, toasts, tears. Life reclaimed, Rosa cheered. I donated $10,000 to elder abuse shelters, seeds sown from pain. Months unfurled golden, house sold $250,000 windfall. New condo, sun-drenched near galleries. Europe called, Paris sketches, Rome ruins whispering resilience. Art shows, poppies sold, proceeds to causes. Clara's club, sisterhood eternal. Sophie whispers, smaller digs, jobs taken. Growth perhaps from ashes I lit. Regret, fleeting, love, realized mine first. Evelyn Harper, 69 now. I've learned, chains of help bind tighter than hugs, freedom, priceless, true kin, chosen. If this resonated, support via donation, more tailies await. What would you do? Comment below, your voice fuels me. Where'd you find this? Share, like, subscribe for life unfiltered, heartfelt hugs till next.